now live.
Thank you, O Lord, for this day. We ask that you will be with us in the county business decision. These blessings we ask in your name. We say amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we have consideration for July's minutes. Entertain a motion.
I move that the motion to be approved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. So it is. If you would skip down to the site plan for Magnolia. This time, Magnolia.
Yes, sir.
Come forward. So Mike.
Frank, good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
This is a building a new gym right next to the existing Magnolia Islamic Center in Madison, 1465 Highway 51. It is basically the function of that will be an indoor basketball and a soccer field. The building is 90 foot by 60 foot, and the front of it will be brick and stucco, and the colors will be match the existing buildings, the brick and the color of the stucco and the roof color and all that. Basically.
Questions?
I do. Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
I appreciate it.
All right.
So I see on your plan, it says that, the metal building plans for the metal framing details, but you're saying that everything's gonna match. Can you help me understand that?
So it's gonna be a metal, the proposal is a metal building, and it's gonna have the metal sidings on 3 sides facing Highway 51 in Madison. It's gonna be half brick and half stucco, matching the conceptual of the existing building.
The rear of the building is facing which way?
That picture right there is the front of the building. Okay, so where you see the louver and the brick and the stucco, that's facing 51.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
Sir, I did not, just for the minutes, sorry to peek over there. Could you state your name, who you're representing, and your address, please?
Yes, sir. My name is Ali with MCI Construction, 276 Normandy Circle, Madison, Mississippi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The existing building, and it's brick all the way around?
The existing building is brick all the way around with a lot of stucco inserts, columns and stuff like that. So it's in the plan. I got pictures of it. It's a combination of brick and stucco.
Well, the addition part needs to match that.
So the current plans show the front of the building facing 51 is going to be half brick and half stucco. The rest of the building, the proposal right now is a metal sidings,
Okay.
same color as the stucco.
To match all the way around,
Okay.
so you might need to make an adjustment there.
Okay. Would it be okay if we do half brick and half stucco, or does it have to match?
Half brick and half stucco is good.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion.
All right. Thanks, sir. Thanks, everybody.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Just to clarify, that motion is to approve with the,
Can we clarify that? Is your motion
Yeah.
to make the adjustment, Amanda?
Yeah, with the, yours was brick and stucco.
So it'll be a motion to approve with the changes that all four sides would
Right.
be
Correct.
half stucco, half brick to match the front as presented.
Correct.
Okay.
Please, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. So it is. Motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Get a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. James Clay. James Clay.
Mr. President, I've had some trouble getting a hold of him, and I'll just try to communicate with him to be at the next meeting if y'all will table.
Motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Table. Jenkins Malching. Jenkins.
This matter was tabled at our last meeting too. So it's up to you guys what you want to do with it.
Motion to deny.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jenkins Malching denied. Clarksdale Farm.
Good morning, I'm Don McGraw, and I'm here representing Clarkdale Farms and Stillhouse Creek in their petition to rezone property located on Clarkdale Road. Just a little background. We filed our petition in this matter and sent notice to the landowners. The property is approximately 363 acres located on the east side of Clarkdale Road, about a mile south of Yandle Road. We attached the legal descriptions to the property. The current property owners are Beverly Yandle Milam, Catherine Ellen Yandle Laurent, Phyllis Ann Yandle Mashburn, and Melinda Yandle Perry. They all joined in the petition by consent, allowing Clarkdale Farms and Stillhouse Creek to file this petition. The property is currently zoned R1, and we're seeking to have it changed to an R2 with a planned unit residential development overlay, which a PURD. We attached a master plan of the property to the petition. All the lots that would be eventually built. The subdivisions are planned to be developed over several years. It'll take probably 2 to 3 years before the first phase is completed and before houses are constructed and built. The actual lifespan of the whole development would probably be 10 to 12 years. The road situation, I know, is a big concern, and I guess everybody knows that the county had advertised or had information that stated that there'd be about a $92 million road improvement in the area. Yandle Road would eventually be widened to 5 lanes from 51 to North Old Canton, have traffic lights at the intersections. It'd be accessed from Highway 51 to Parkway East from Greens Crossing, an overpass over Bozeman Road. Weisenberger Road would be 4 lane in the next 2 to 3 years, and all of those improvements should be close to being completed before much of our property is developed. So, and hopefully by that time, the traffic situation would be addressed. So, the public need, we feel, is evident by virtue of the fact that there's shortage of houses. There's were like 900 building permits issued back in 2023, and as of the 1st of August, I think there have been 510 or so. So there's a need for additional housing. The houses in Track 1 would be roughly 1,850 square feet to 2,500 square feet with an 1,800-foot minimum. The proposed covenants will have strict covenants, will provide for homeowners association, architecture review committee, and the plats themselves will have several common areas. In fact, I think about 19% of both tracks would be covered by common area, which would be lakes, ponds, walking trails, and green space. There will be a 50-foot buffer zone along the entire south property line of both tracks. Track 1 would have houses similar to what's presently in Grayhawk subdivision and over on Stribling Road, and Glenwild subdivision that fronts on Yandle Road. So one of the reasons that this property would be ripe to rezone to R2 would be the fact that the sewer is readily available now. Back when most of the houses on the west side of Clarkdale Road and the south of this property were built, there was no sewer. Bear Creek has now got sewer availability and has issued a letter stating that they would provide sewer service to this property. Just from the rezoning information, that we would, on Track 2 under R2, they would be allowed to build 1,040 lots. Their proposal is to build 536. If it were on the Track 2, the R2 would allow 449 lots, and on Track 2, the proposed construction would be 297 lots. So under the proposed lots, they'd be 504 lots less than what they could build on Track 1. On Track 2, there'd be 152 lots less than what they could build. So. And another issue that has come up would be the issue of whether there's enough room for children in the school district. We've gotten a letter from the superintendent of Madison County. Madison County Schools, which states that the district is aware of future growth around Yandle Road and Clarkdale Road. The school has a demographer which has and will continue to add the new developments within their planning for the future trends and needs of the school district. It also goes on to say they have a capital project program ongoing to maintain buildings across the district and to add capacity as needed. also attached to our petition was a traffic study, and Mr. Jonathan Kaiser is here, who prepared the study, and in a moment I'll ask him to speak to that matter. But at this point, I want to mention to you the changes in the area. Generally, all this, the property from the current property that the Yandles own all the way to Yandle Road was formerly owned by the Yandle family. It's been in their family for 50 years or more, I guess. But so they had sold everything north of here, approximately 640 acres or more, and all that's been developed R2. So we feel that this is just an extension of what they've already done, so we would like for this to be R2 as well, based upon the fact that their prior property has been zoned R2.
Don, you want this microphone if you're going to talk with them?
As part of the change in the neighborhood, we made this printout of the county land use plan, and our property's got the little red sign here, mark on it. The yellow is moderate density residential, which shows on the land use, future land use, that would cover Glenwild, Glendale, Oakdale, Oakwood, excuse me, and maybe Hampton Hills. All of that's shown future land use as moderate density, which is R2 under the county zoning. So we feel like that in and of itself shows that the property should now be zoned R2, since the future use is showing R2 or moderate density residential. And I guess if the county knew what was going on at the time that was done, which was probably about 2019, so all the current subdivisions north of what we're trying to have rezoned have already been zoned R2, and so we would show that it is appropriate to zone our properties R2. Just another note on the phases. Each phase should be roughly 60 to 65 lots. And like I said before, the overall build-out time would be about 10 to 12 years. There will also be a architecturally designed entrance at the subdivision on Clarkdale Road, which would be ready to install a gate and be heavily landscaped. Mr. Jonathan Kaiser, who prepared the traffic study, is here, and he's prepared to discuss his findings.
I did a traffic study. I'm Jonathan Kaiser with Kaiser Traffic and Engineering. I prepared a traffic study looking at existing and future traffic volumes. The existing volumes obviously are problematic at primarily at the intersection of Clarkdale Road Extension and Yandell Road, where there's a lot of capacity issues. And I've worked with Madison County in identifying improvements at that intersection that the county has allocated funding to doing improvements to both Weisenberger Road and Yandell Road, including planning to signalize the intersection of Clarkdale Road Extension at Yandell Road with additional auxiliary lanes. With the widening of Yandell Road to 5 lanes and the installation of a traffic signal at the Clarkdale Road Extension intersection with Yandell Road, providing dual northbound left turn lanes and a right turn lane at that intersection with signalization is shown to provide more than enough capacity to accommodate this development and put it from where it's currently functioning at a level of service F over capacity to where it would be at a level of service of A or B in that neighborhood with the development of this property. So and there's a study that's been submitted to the county detailing the traffic counts and the forecast for that. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have about the traffic or the study.
Any questions from the commission?
Thank you.
Board, I'm Blake Kress. I am a Madison County resident for 30-something years, and I've been in the development business for 31 years. And so I'm very aware of the need for development. I've been a developer most of my career. And even though you can read some of the stuff in here regarding need, whether it's Amazon's $10 billion investment or Clark Beverage or the other businesses that are coming within a reasonable distance from here, there is a continual need. Most of the land I spent the first half of my career on the west side of the interstate. There's not much left over there. I've been here for about 8 years developing over in the Clarkdale, Yandell area, and the growth it's continual and it's real. And I'm currently in Oakfield, and I still have another probably 2 years left of that development. This would be an extension of that. It wouldn't create any additional, I'm not going to build more. It's just going to extend the life of the project, I guess. I usually put on about 60, 65 lots a year. I will continue to do that. If market changes, I'll back off or increase it, but averaging 60 to 70 lots a year. And this additional project won't increase that volume. It just increases the longevity of Oakfield. But the need is there. It has been for years. It is increasing every year. I think the data, you can read through your data to get to that. I just wanted it on the record that about my history and knowledge of development and the absorption rates. I mean, I open 40 lots, I sell them all. And we have had a little slowdown the last few months in some of the markets just with interest rates. But long term, we see an ever-increasing need, and your MLS data will prove that, and just the businesses locating here. The other big item is the change in character. It's changed. It changed years ago. It changed so much that the county themselves deemed this property to be zoned on the comprehensive land plan back in 2019. So 5 years ago, it was obvious that the change in the neighborhood the change in the character was occurring. It has occurred at a more frequent rate over the last couple of years with the addition of Glenwild, Glendale Farms, Oakfield, and there's a continual growth pattern here in this area. And again, Madison County's own plan shows that this is designed for this. So just want to make sure that everybody understands we're not trying to recreate anything. We're trying to be consistent with what the county has already said this land should be used for. And this is a long-term deal. I mean, it will take 10 years to develop all of this out, and probably be 2 or 3 years before you actually see any real impact from this. Well, okay. Well, I'm in the business. I've done this forever. It takes a long time to get started, to get to where it would have any real impact. But I just wanted to make sure that need and character was addressed. It is clear. Again, you can read it in the documents, but I think I would prefer that you hear it and understand what our position is, and I appreciate your time.
What about drainage and runoff?
So we've got our engineer here, Ron McMaster with McMaster's Associations. They handle all of our hydraulics, all of our detention. Now, all of that gets addressed. You don't really get to that at this P&Z meeting, but when we get to preliminary plats and start actually designing, right now we've got the concept. There'll be less lots than this when this finally gets really engineered, but Ron can speak to any hydraulic or detention that will be engineered, and there'll be studies done for that. Right now, we've done the traffic study, we've done environmental studies, we've done soil studies. Once we get to the next point, Ron and his group will start working on hydraulics, detentions, and how you maintain proper water flow so you don't impact downstream. So that's next. That comes in the next process.
I'm going to follow up with a question. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So there's 90 some odd pages, so forgive me if I overlooked
Yeah,
one.
oh, sure.
What are the sizes of these lots, numbers of houses? What are we looking at?
Well, the sizes of the lots are going to, we have two different subdivisions here.
Walk me through it.
Okay, so you're looking at anywhere from 70 to 90 foot wide by 135 to 150 deep, okay? Now, the R2, you've got a lot of flexibility in there, but, and it also allows way more houses than what we're attempting to do. The size of the houses are, right now, and Arthur can speak to what his development would be. I think Don hit on it. Would you say 1,850 to 2,400 or something like that? Oakville currently has 3 different products, 15, 17, and 19. Now, we would abandon the 15s in this expansion and have 17s and 19s, which is our $350,000 to $400,000 product. So, you know, that's where we would be in the 100 acres that I was looking to annex. Arthur's is going to be above that. Arthur's got more of a Glen Wild, Greyhawk, which most of those are in that 1,819 to 2,400. And the lot sizes, Arthur, what are you 85s? I don't know.
They go from 75 to 85.
So he's 75 to 85, and I'm 70 to 90, basically, is what we are.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, I just wanted, I know there's going to be a lot more questions, and I'll probably be back up here. I just wanted to make sure we detailed the need and the change directly to the board.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many builders will be in there?
So I have a group of 6 that, and it changes a little bit. I've had this, for 30 years, I find a group of guys that can work together that put a good product out. And every now and then we get 1 or 2 that changes. But right now, I've got 5 or 6 builders that have been with me 20 years, and they move from project to project. And, you know, some retire, some leave, but I currently have about 6 in Oakfield.
All right, let me clear this. Your plans are 1,700 to 1,900 square foot houses?
Well, there's 2 products, 1,700 minimum and a 1,900 minimum. Now, I have a 1,500, but I'm not asking, we're gonna, that's not gonna be part of this deal. So I have a 1,700 minimum. There's 3 different products in Oakfield, and the 17 and the 19 is what I'm going to continue in this deal, which are 350s. We try to get that 1,900 product right under 4, like 385, 390, just from a price point, but they're in that 350 to 390 range.
Okay. And you mentioned Arthur would be a step up from
Yes. We're trying, look, 2 reasons for that. One is not directly competing with each other, so we don't have exactly the same product on the market. Arthur and his group of builders, which he can talk to, they're going to be, most of their houses are going to be 21s, 22s. What's Glenwild? What's your average in there?
Around 1,900 feet.
So 2,000 feet. So he's going to be one notch up. And I'll let him speak to that if those questions come up. He can tell you about his builders too. He functions similarly the way we do. He's got a group, and we try to keep those groups together, and you know, it's worked well for us over the years. Arthur's been doing it as long as I have. Okay, I'm sure, like I said, there'll be other questions when we get into the opposition's discussion, but just wanted to clear that statement. Thank you.
Any other questions for the?
Oh, one quick question.
For me?
Yes. What is your plans on your lot values to your builders?
So they've gone up radically. So I'll just give you a quick history. The lot started at 45 back in 2016. This last group I just did are 65,000, okay? That's for
Where's
my
that?
small product. And I'm at 75,000 on the 1,900 square foot product. So my 1,500s have gone to 65,000. My 1,700s are going to 70,000, and my 1,900s are 75,000. It's radically different than it was. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, it's driven cost per square foot. Our last 3 sales, 195, 197, and 197 a foot. So we're running almost $200 a foot. So a 2,000 square foot house is $400,000. It's hard for me to believe that we can push all that along to down the line, but the last 2 years has been radically different.
And that's your price to your builder?
It is, the price to the builder. And, our development costs are radically different, and those prices, the last 29 lots were all in the $64,000 to $68,000 range for a 1,500 square foot. And more than that for the 17s and the 19s. Obviously, the bigger lot you get, the more expensive it is because you have more cost per frontage a foot. And so,
what do you think the average development cost of the lot will be?
well, I know what that is. This last phase, I'm 53,000
Per lot?
per lot.
Development.
Yeah, and that's for the.
Utilities?
That's water, sewer, the whole thing. That's up from 28,000 in 2016. So everybody's experiencing that, whether you're in my business or construction business. And so, price of homes have just radically increased because our costs get more, the builder's costs get more. But it's still moving forward. I mean, we're still, especially in that market, that 17 to 2,000 square foot market is still that's the place to be right now.
You may not know this, but what percent of new construction ends up in MLS? In other words, there's a lot sold outside of MLS, and then.
Well, the houses, most of those are in MLS. The lots don't wind up there.
Right, correct.
But most of my builders, they'll have their house up. They want the traffic and the activity. So they get their realtor signs up within about 3 months of starting the house. So the last 3 months of the construction, you're going to see once you get inside and they get sheetrocked and you can see the house, they want a realtor involved. So those all end up in MLS.
So what we see in MLS is basically a good picture?
It is. You're not going to have many private sales that don't get recorded in MLS.
Okay.
And like I said, you can look at the last couple, and it's gone increasingly from 150 a foot to 160 to 170 to 180, and now 195. It's just, it's amazing. None of us really like that part of it. It's driving cost up for everyone. So, you know, to be in a 2,500 square foot house now, it costs you $500,000. And so most people are backing off. Instead of, if you've got $400,000, you used to get a 2,300 square foot house. Now you can only afford a 1,900. That's what we're seeing out there. It's not so much that it's pushing the first-time home buyers out. It's the people looking for their second home aren't able to get as much home as they could 3 or 4 years ago, and that's where the market is right now.
The reason I was asking, was it a picture? There's only 17 active new construction listings in MLS right now in 39046. It's only 17.
Yeah, which is, there's not enough. Yeah, I mean, now, I just opened a phase, and so we're going to have, I'm 3 or 4 months away from those houses being on the market, but now, again, there'll be a lot more houses that are under construction. They just not be listed yet, because it's the last 2 or 3 months that they're, and Arthur's also a builder. He can speak to that too. I am not a home builder, developer. I've worked with home builders my entire career. And like I said, I found a group that I'm comfortable with, that I work well with, and that work well with others, that put a good product out and try to hold their prices as best they can. You know, market drives a lot of that, but our guys try to keep the value of their product up. Obviously, it benefits everybody if they do that. So, okay, thank you.
How are y'all? My name's Arthur Noble. I'm developing Tract 1. I'm going to be referring to some of these plats, and can I show y'all which ones I'm referring to, or do I need to, that are right down here? We got a land use plat, we got a zoning map, and we have a master plan. So I'm going to be referring to these plans. Tract 1 is 253 acres. Has gently rolling topography. It's lined. It's got some ditches that run through it that have tree lines. It's gently sloping. The property is well drained. Y'all talk about drainage. This property, believe it or not, from the southwest
Speak a little
corner.
more into the mic.
I'm sorry. From the drainage from the southwest corner to the northeast corner, there's 40 feet of fall on this property. But it's over half a mile long, or over about a mile long, so you don't really notice it when you're on there. So drainage is really good on our property. It actually drains into Blake's property. Thank you, Blake. We have 2,238 linear feet of frontage on east side of Clarkdale Road. It is located approximately 1 mile south of Yandle Road and 0.6 of a mile north of Green Oak Lane. The property has had an interim use of agricultural use because the Yandles family did not want to sell this property, and they could have sold it years ago. There's been a lot of interest in the property for many years, and it's the last real big tract of land that in the area that hasn't sold. And I got a red mark on the land use plan which shows it, and you can see everything pretty much around this property has been developed, and it's all developed residential. Change in the neighborhood, to my understanding, there are 2 things the law requires for changing. You have to have a change in the neighborhood, and you have to have a public demand. So when a developer looks at a piece of property, we analyze it, we look at zoning, we look at the available utilities, mainly water and sewer, because that determines your density. If you don't have water and sewer, you're stuck with probably 2 acre lots, R1. But if you have sewer, you can go to a more dense use. You look at the physical characteristics of the property, the topo, drainage, et cetera. The current zoning is R1. The future zoning is indicated by the Madison County Land Use Plan as moderate density. The immediate area around the property consists of R2 developments and single-family houses built on individual parcels of land. The R2 zoning requested is consistent with the use indicated on the county's land use plan, which is moderate density. All utilities to develop the property are located there, including sewer, which we have a letter of service from Bear Creek. The presence of the sewer is what was required for the property to go from a zoning of R1 to moderate density on the county's land use plan. Some of the R2 subdivisions located in the neighborhood and within the close proximity of the Yandle property include Glenwild, Glendale, Oakfield, Bear Creek Crossing, Bradshaw Ridge, Hanover, Coventry, Kemper Creek, and Hampton Hills. The presence of these R2 zone property developments indicate that R2 is the appropriate zoning for this property. R1 subdivisions that I could find are on Clarkdale include Sagefield, a little street, Clarkdale, and Oak Hollow. Other houses present are built on individual parcels of land. I think the highest and best use of this property, it's clearly for an R2 subdivision. Public need, the MLS data and the building permit support, there's a public need for housing in Madison County. I think Blake said it, the permits issued in 2023 were 924 residential permits issued. 2024, 511. If you look at it, that might put us a little short of what was last year, but with interest rates being 8.5%, that's to be expected. You know, Amazon is doing their deal, $10 billion. They're going to bring on probably 1,000 jobs or so. The demand for housing in Madison County was already strong, and the AWS jobs will only increase the demand for housing. There's a shortage of housing nationally, and Madison County has been experiencing a shortage of housing as well. The lack of land to develop in the Madison County School District and the existing subdivisions being built out has contributed to the shorting of housing in our area. Because of this shortage, we lose many buyers to Rankin County. Track 1, which is my track, Blake is track 2. We have 536 lots as proposed on our conceptual drawing. R2 zoning permits a maximum of 1,040 lots, and we're only doing 536. R1B zoning requires only up to 735 lots, and we're well under that at our 536. Just what I said, as proposed, we're well under both R1B and R2 zoning with the 536. Phases consist of approximately 65 lots, and we anticipate a build-out of 10 years. Track 1 will have approximately 2.14 lots per acre. We have a 50-foot buffer on the south end of the property for privacy for the landowners on the south side. We have 19% common area with a common facility that will be owned and paid for by the HOA. There will be several walking trails through the property. We'll have a really nice entrance drawn by Andy McCrory, and it will be nice and it'll be heavily landscaped. The development will be covenant controlled with strict ARC guidelines. The development will be patterned after Glenwild, Grayhawk, which I developed both of those with partners, and Thornberry, where I'm currently building houses. All of these are zoned R2 subdivisions. 1,800 square foot minimum will be required. The houses will be similar to the ones in Glenwild, which are 1,850 to 2,200 feet, and similar to the ones in Grayhawk and Thornberry, which are 2,300 to 2,800 feet. Houses will have 2 and 3 car garages. I know traffic and their concerns, and I understand, you get a road study, and we've all experienced traffic. And the only thing I can tell out of that road study is we go from an F to an A. And I certainly know what Fs mean because I made a bunch of them when I was in school. But that's according to the study. Now, when a lot of people laughed when we say we're building 3.5, it's going to take us 2.5 to 3 years for the first houses to be sold. During that time, it's going to take us 12 months to design this subdivision. It'll take us another 10 to 12 months to build the roads, and at that time, the utility contractor only has 3 or 4 cars that come in twice a day, and it's probably before and after peak time hours. So that's how we come up, that's how I come up with a 2.5 to 3 years for the first houses to be built and sold. So I don't know the exact timeline, and I don't know if anybody does, of when the Yandell Road and Weisenberger improvements will be made, but at least we're on the right track. The schools, I mean, they just did, Germantown School just put on 45 new classrooms, and they say that they're aware of what we're doing, and they can supply the demand. Actually, I'm building a house for the CFO, and when I talked to him, which kind of surprised me, Germantown School actually needs students because of the students that they lost. I got it from the CFO. You can call him. I'll give you his name. But that's what he told me.
Any other questions? No questions? Any other?
Any? None? Thank y'all.
Hear from opposition?
I'm gonna take my notes. I don't want you to be reading them.
First of all, I want to start by saying these are two respected builders, and I do respect them. Unfortunately, we are on opposite sides today.
State your name.
I'm Ronnie Lott. I'm the Chancery Clerk in Madison County, but I'm not here as Chancery Clerk today. I live at 174 Clarkdale Road. Andy already knows this. I'm a concerned and protesting taxpayer. But first of all, I want to thank you. I know y'all barely get paid expenses for what you do. You're obviously people who care about the county, just like I do. And this is an issue that's deep to my heart, and I may get passionate about this, but I apologize for that in advance. I'm here to object to the rezoning proposed by Clarkdale Farms and Stillhouse Creeks, along with many others here. I guess those who are not standing, please raise your hand. Is everybody standing? All right, everybody raise your hand. These are in opposition. All right. There may be misinformation out there. We'll clarify this, but right now we're in opposition. From the outset, the lack of transparency was troubling to me. Only those within 160 feet were notified. My next door neighbor called me. He's my next door neighbor. You know about this? I know nothing about this because I was beyond the 160 feet. He was told to go to Canton, pick up an anonymous package. I'm sure people ignored it. They didn't know what it was. There was a sign put on Clarkdale Road, which is a north-south roadway facing west. I mean, you had to know it was there to look for it. Clarkdale Road is a small collector road. It's got shoulders, less than a foot wide. It has ditches, deep, open ditches with no curb and guttering, all right? It cannot stand the pressure of, I just heard 550, my first information was 750 to 850, whatever, even 550 new homes. It can't stand that pressure. It's already overcrowded, especially with this being the sole entry and exit on Little Clarkdale Road. But by my computations, this would increase our traffic intensity by 60%. I mean, there's some mornings when I can't get out of my driveway for 30 to 60 seconds. And it's a country road. There's so many cars coming by. My wife likes to walk our dog on a road 50 feet away, and she can't walk down there. We had to cut a path through the woods just so she can get to the road to walk the dog because the cars are coming through so fast. The weight capacity of our brand-new taxpayer-funded bridge is 27 tons. A good dump truck can weigh as much as 40 tons. The proposed entrance barely meets the minimum site distance limitations. The traffic study is counting on the widening of Yandle Road. Well, this is not going to be addressed for probably 8 to 10 years. Oakfield has already added 400-plus homes to put their traffic on this little road. And let's not forget about their crime. There have been shootings, murders, and drug busts there in the past year alone. Same type of subdivision. Clarkdale cannot survive the traffic generated by this many more homes. Who's going to repair the road from damage? Who's going to pay for the emergency improvements? The developers, no offense? No, the taxpayers are going to pay for this. Who's going to pay for the new fire station that's going to be required, or the new schools that will be required, or the extra ambulances that will be required? The taxpayers. Germantown schools are almost filled to capacity. We will differ on that. Where will the children go? It seems that we're experiencing a new trend. I'm getting ahead of myself. I passed a page. I've lost a page. Oh, well, it's probably a good thing. Seems that we're experiencing a new trend in Madison County. We're turning away from the core values that made this the premier county in Mississippi. The very same values that attracted Amazon and Clark and AWS. You know, they're in the process of building 700 D.R. Horton homes 4 miles up Yandle Road from here. 4 miles. And the Board of Supervisors just approved 69 new homes almost directly across Yandle Road from where we are at the last board meeting on Monday. There are developments up and down Yandle Road. Where are all these people going to go? I mean, where are they going to go? Our roads are at capacity. They talk about the new road plan. The new road money approved by the Board of Supervisors, the $92 million. Well, the only project that's added to this on that side of 51 is the Yandle Road extension, which, as I said, is 8 to 10 years from now before they're going to finish that. We all moved here to enjoy a quality of life and to live in an area that was safe from crime and a place that retained its property values. Facts. This will totally change the character of our neighborhoods. Facts. There is not an established need for this subdivision in this area. In fact, this is not aligned with the Madison County strategic plan. Since I got off, I have to read because I'm old and I forget things. The county allowed us to invest our money with a guarantee of higher property values. We moved to this area to escape subdivisions. Most of the people here moved out of a subdivision to be here. We have no problem with R1 subdivision. It's zoned R1. We will welcome that. I don't think the profitability could be that different from 181 well-built 2-acre lot houses as opposed to smaller houses. I don't know. I'm not a developer. 20 years from now, the R1 houses will still be good condition, viable, with high sale value. R2 homes, not so much. We're in country homes. We're in a country environment. These are our dream homes. I'm just fear we're losing our way in Madison County. We're overbuilding. The infrastructure is being surpassed by the development. Crime's up. Our property values in danger of decline. And if we keep going in this direction, we may become just another little Hines County, and none of us want that. I implore you to do the right thing and reject this request for zoning for all the citizens of Madison County. And thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
I'm Christy Walker. First, I want to say I am not speaking on behalf of Madison County School District, but as a resident at 215 Clarkdale Road, whose property is directly across from this subdivision. We moved from Canton about 10 years ago and bought 5.5 acres and have enjoyed our country life, which is about to be totally messed up on this. We have 2 girls that have grown up in the Maverick County zone. We have a senior at Germantown High School and an 8th grader at Germantown Middle School. And I have been a teacher at Germantown High School since the doors have opened in 2011, and I can promise you, we do not need any more students at that school. So very quickly, I'm just going to read so I do not digress, which is very easy for me to do. This year marks my 25th year teaching, and I have been in Madison County School District for going on 19 years. And I've been at Germantown High School since 2011. In 2011, we had a little more than 400 students at our school. Little side note, one of my compadres back there, Cody, raise your hand. Little did I know that we were neighbors, and she was one of my very first students I taught at Germantown High School. She was in the very first senior class that graduated at Germantown High School. So it's pretty cool. It's sad that this has brought the neighbors together to see this. But let me just go on. We knew the numbers were going to grow because who did not want to be part of this fantastic new Maverick zone? What many did not know was how quickly we were going to outgrow Germantown High School. Before we knew it, the first set of trailers came in, then another group, then another, then another. Before we knew it, half our school was surrounded by trailers to accommodate the growth. But trailers didn't solve our problem. We still had teachers, and I cannot remember last year, but there may have been about 10 plus teachers without classrooms, not even in the trailers, which means these teachers were floating. And when they float, another teacher is kicked out of their room during their time so they can teach. So imagine I was mentoring some teachers who had 6 different classrooms. On an A day, they were in 3 different classrooms, and then on the B day, they were in 3 other different classrooms. Their life was on a little cart, and they were carting their stuff back and forth. We had to convert book rooms at Germantown High School to put a little chair so these teachers who are now didn't have a classroom and teachers who were kicked out of their planning blocks could at least sit somewhere and try to plan their lessons. You may be thinking that this is an issue, but let me just tell you how this feels. A teacher can be the best teacher, but be the most unprepared in a situation like this. You never feel at home. You feel stressed. You feel overwhelmed. I was blessed not to be a floater. I'm still in the same classroom as I've been in since the doors have opened, thank goodness. But I have lost my classroom during planning time. For me, a veteran teacher, I was beyond stressed going back into my class to teach right after that. I was always waiting at my door with my students, waiting to go back into my classroom. I would be settling back, trying to get my mind as to what I was about to teach when they're coming into class as well. If that situation is overwhelming, for me, imagine a young new teacher. By the way, we're in a teacher shortage, so we're trying to retain the teachers that we have. Imagine how they feel as they're carting their life to 6 different classrooms in 2 days. The news recently reported that Germantown High School has 24 new classrooms, 24, but what the news did not share is we still have teachers right now without classrooms who are having to share. I have teacher friends that have been there who are still getting kicked out during their planning block and having to move around the school. What the news also didn't report is that our classrooms are still maxed out at about 25 kids. They're now inching up to about 30 kids per class. 8 o'clock last night, I got an email. A new student was just added to my roster. Research disputes what the right classroom size is, but most research will agree the smaller the better. The bigger our classes get, the less one-on-one attention teachers can give to students, the fewer hands-on activities and simulations you can conduct. Forget about trying to hold a civil discussion in the classroom. As more subdivisions are being built, our elementary schools, Germantown Middle School and Germantown High School, have become overcrowded. Both of my girls went to Madison Crossing, and I remember when an entire hallway across me was totally empty. Those rooms are now overcrowded. They have run out of space. Germantown Middle School, don't even know what to say about that one. They have over 1,000 kids in 6th through 8th grade, and that averages about 333 students per grade in that tiny building. Germantown High School, well, it's been in the news, so you know about that one. With the savvy planning and the wise leadership of our school district leaders, school district leaders, they were able to invest in a $44 million project without raising the taxes nor resorting to a bond issue. With all these new subdivisions, a huge problem was created, has been created, is being created. Our school district leaders came to the rescue. Now, an even exponentially larger problem is about to be created with even more subdivisions. That is why we're all here today. The National School Boards Association reported overcrowding schools reduce students' ability to pay attention to teachers' instruction and even increase students' behavior issues. The rate of teacher and student absenteeism are more likely to be higher at schools without overcrowding. Students who did not have overcrowded classroom issues were higher test scores in reading and in math. So why is it that this county's leadership continues to go against everything that research says? Why has the leadership continued to rezone and approve subdivisions without any consideration of how this expansion is impacting our schools and our local school district? Local school district who's bailing us out, by the way. I hope and pray that you will do what is right and vote against this unneeded expansion and vote against the individuals whose interests are not invested in our community. The people making these decisions do not have to deal with the consequences and problems that they are creating. The preamble to the Madison County zoning regulations states that, quote unquote, zoning regulations shall be made in accordance with a comprehensive plan to facilitate the adequate provision of ... schools. Have you facilitated adequate provisions for our schools? Thank you.
My name is Matt Walker, and I'm married to Miss Christy Walker. I almost hate to follow that up. But that's why I love her, and that's why we've been married for 20 years. We live at 215 Clarkdale Road. I also am in the education industry. I have coached and taught. I'm entering my 21st year. I took off work today, like a lot of people in this room took off work today to be here. Our first 11 years of our marriage starting in 2004, we grew up, and our two daughters, reared them at 708 North Cathy Circle, as Christy stated. I remember vividly every day that I open up Facebook memories. It's very happy and it's also very sad as I remember our girls learning to walk, learning to ride the bike. And we started, that is an R2 subdivision. And it's a great subdivision. Awesome memories. Awesome memories. I wouldn't dream of allowing my children or any child on Clarkdale Road or Yandell Road right now. Wouldn't dream of it. And people saying, I mean, I'm very surprised, I guess, that we heard from the road engineer of how overcrowded Yandell Road is. It should have been 5 lanes 10 years ago. And if you don't believe that, please, I implore you, okay? I ask you, try getting out of Clarkdale Extension at 7:20 in the morning. You better not need to be at work until about 10, okay? The last time I took that route, I leave early in the morning because of my job, and I enjoy it. We love our job. Okay, we worked our tails off, and we chose to be teachers and educators. We don't make a lot of income. I'm not complaining about that. God blessed us with that desire, and we love investing in young people and that development. But we worked our tails off. We didn't take a vacation for 11 years, and we paid our house off early in order to get our dream house, our new investment at 215 Clarkdale Road. That was our dream. That is our dream. And again, Ronnie touched earlier about the lack of transparency, how we were notified about this. I was shocked. I found out about Friday night. We're in the middle of football. We've been practicing football all summer. I come in after 12, 14-hour days, and a lot of these hardworking people in this room, and I'm notified. I am shocked. And you're going to hear it later from a young lady who was a fireball, Miss Cody Harris, that has initiated this. And I've never done it before, but we got Sunday after church, my wife, my studette that I've been married to for 20 years, and our oldest daughter, we hit the doors knocking. I hate to disturb people Sunday after church, but they were stunned. I started in Denson Farms, Cherry Hills, and worked our way all the way on Clarkdale Road. I apologize for not being neighborly and introducing myself earlier, just like we've mentioned. But these people have very similar stories. We've worked our tails off. We've invested. You're going to hear about property values. Okay? That's real. We're not trying, we've worked all of these people, these are hardworking people. All of us are. We work hard for everything we get. We want that to be protected and reserved. You heard about the 2 murders that took place. Y'all, that's less than a mile away from our house. This development is right across the street. Ronnie's not, I think he actually undersold it about trying to get out of our driveways sometimes. Monday night after football practice, I knocked on doors till 8:45 at night, and some of them are in the room today. And again, I apologize for disturbing them, but I remember coming out of one driveway, and it was scary. And again, it's mentioned before, these subdivisions that are east of North Old Canton on Yandle Road, closer to Highway 43, those are still being developed. So if we're overcrowded now, and we're looking at 8 to 10 years before these roads are going to be widened, extended, and so forth, well, a couple months, 6 months, or whenever those developments, where is that traffic going? And so you're going to hear safety, overcrowding, property values. I mean, you heard schools. We live it every day. And I fall more in love with her every single day, but hearing her stress and frustration from her colleagues that they work in, of how stressful it is. Because guess what? Guess who gets blamed when the results don't come through and we don't reach little Johnny or little Susie? It's the teacher's fault. Well, what kind of situation are we putting them in? It's a failing situation. We need to do the right thing, and thank you so much for your time and for hearing us. I hope you hear passion in our voice. I haven't even looked at my notes. I made all these notes because I was nervous. We're nervous. We're speaking from the heart. R1, not a problem in the world with it. I don't think we need a single house for a while before we get our infrastructure up to code. But not a single, but we've got plenty of, and look, R2 subdivisions have their time and their place. 708 North Cathy Circle, it brings a smile on my face right now. 11 years, the best. I mean, I can still see my little girls that now one's a senior, one's an 8th grader. But this new subdivision is not the time, and it's not the place. It's not the right situation for R2. It's not. I implore you. I beg you. Please listen. These people are real. Taking off jobs. They're retired. They're working their tails off. We see it every day. We're not shooting off the cuff. We live this every single day. I'm starting to digress, but I really appreciate your time, and I thank all of my neighbors for being here today. I love you guys.
Good morning, Board. My name's Sam Martin. I'm an attorney in Gluckstadt. I'm here to represent some concerned citizens in this community. I recognize there's a lot of people here that want to discuss this matter, so I'll try to keep my remarks brief. However, I think it's important for you all to consider the legal standard here today. In conforming with well-settled law and Madison County Zoning Ordinance 806.03, in order for you all to rezone this property, the developer has to prove by clear and convincing evidence that the character of this neighborhood has changed to such an extent as to justify the rezoning and that there is a public need for the rezoning. The developer must satisfy both of these factors, and simply put, neither of these factors can be met. First, the neighbors to the west, to the south, and to the east, they live in residential estate parcels. These parcels are 2-acre minimum lots with large yard minimums, and the other neighbor to the north is a neighborhood that will be attached to this proposed development with through streets. What's ironic about that is that many of these people here today live in that neighborhood and are adamantly opposed to this proposed development. Now, the individuals that live for miles around to the west, east, and south in these residential estate parcels moved to these parcels, bought them, and built there in conformance with residential estate zoning. The Supreme Court has stated, the courts presume that the original zoning is well-planned and designed to be permanent. In the same way, these landowners relied on the county's representation of this area as residential estate, believing it to be well-settled and permanent, to invest significant time and money into their parcels. And the result is this area is simply not conducive for a R2 PUD parcel. Now, in regards to public need, many in this crowd here today will testify that there is no public need, that there are many homes in their neighborhoods and the neighborhoods close by, brand new homes that have sat on the market for months, have slashed their prices, and yet still remain empty. That is proof positive. There is no public need. Now, the proponents here today have cited to the Amazon plant. The Amazon plant will be great, But respectfully, it is 10 miles from this proposed development. It's on the other side of the interstate, and it is not in the same growth path. If the Amazon plant creates public need, that public need will be properly served by all of the new neighborhoods in Stribley and Catlett Road. Now, the Supreme Court has considered many cases like this on appeal, and has stated, when we have before us an appeal by from an action by a governing board rezoning property, unless the record contains specific finding by such board that these two criteria have been met, and in addition thereto sufficient evidence to support such finding, we will inevitably conclude that the governing board acted arbitrarily and unreasonably. In closing, it is up to the developer to prove and to provide clear and convincing evidence here. It is not up to the public who are here today simply asking you to deny this rezoning request. I thank each of you for your time and for your service here. Good day.
My name is Robin Merrill. I live at 198 Clarkdale. My property is just south of the property adjacent to this new subdivision that is proposed. I do title work for a living, so I go into the courthouse every day and research titles on property, research titles on new subdivisions, of which I had to do this one. So for a couple of months, I've known this was coming and dreaded it. My husband and I bought our property in 2022. It was a foreclosure. It had been one that was done in 2020. The house, they had to evict the people in. We had numerous repairs that had to be made and finished those and moved in July of 23. We thought it was our dream home. 2.5 acres. 5-bedroom house. We were prepared to be there forever. Not sure now. I don't see the need in this subdivision. There are 4, if not 5, other subdivisions that are being developed, finished out within miles on Yandle Road right now, and then there's still some development that will be with the Oakfield subdivision that is right there next door to it as well. I adamantly oppose this as being rezoned to R2. R1 is what all of my neighbors have fallen in love with. That is why we want to be there. The whole structure of our area would change. I would like to state that not always, you can do something because you want to. That doesn't mean that that's the thing you should do. So vote no to the rezoning.
These are all tough acts to follow, but I just wanted to be very brief in my remarks. My name is Mike Ward. I'm speaking for my own behalf. I work for a state agency. I am an attorney, but again, I can't represent anyone but myself. But my wife and I have lived in Madison County since 1987. We live on Cherry Rose Lane, which is just south, about 400 or 500 feet from this planned subdivision. It's a small road. We love living where we live. Both our kids went to the public schools here. We were blessed with great education. My daughter was a National Merit Finalist, and again, we were just blessed. I think we all moved out here to enjoy this kind of life. We're not against development. We know it's coming, but it ought to be like the southern border of this country. It ought to be done right and not just at a whim. But I want to just remind this board, there's a preamble to the zoning ordinance, and it comes from Mississippi law, the Mississippi Code. And it sets forth the purpose of zoning regulations. And the preamble in the Madison County Ordinance states, zoning regulations are designed to lessen congestion in the streets to secure safety from fire, panic, and other dangers, to provide adequate light and air, and to prevent the overcrowding of land to avoid undue concentration of population. And that's what's occurring right here. It's an overcrowding of land with an infrastructure that can't support it. You've heard about the schools. You've heard about the roads. And one thing the traffic engineer didn't take into account that I saw in his plan was the subdivision that is already started south of Deerfield. That's going to be 500 or 600 more cars at least a day, and those same students will go to the same schools. That was not even considered. So again, I just ask the board to keep in mind what the preamble and what the law is, and what our attorney said about, you know, what the standard is. They have to prove it by clear and convincing, and I don't believe there's any public need for this development, and they have the burden of proving it. The public is here, and there's not a single person that's going to say that there's a need for this except for somebody that has a monetary interest in this development. I'd like them to speak up if they're here, if there's a public need. Does anybody think there's a public need? No. Okay. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thank you for your service. My name is Steve Grantham, Jr. I'm speaking in opposition to the proposal off of Clarkdale Road. My wife, Mary, and I moved to Madison, Gluckstadt area in 1998. We live at 728 North Old Canton Road. We moved here to have property, a simpler way of life, and start our family. We did not move to the country to be surrounded by zero lot line homes and traffic jams. We simply sought a peaceful life. The area east and west of I-55 has undergone significant development since 1998, with more people and traffic, without significant infrastructure expansion to manage the rapidly growing population. We've all heard the problems about the traffic. Today, West Madison, Gluckstadt experiences traffic flow issues with traffic backed up in the mornings and afternoons, traveling west to east in the mornings, east to west in the afternoons. Currently, MDOT is constructing an overpass off the Reunion Parkway to divert some of the traffic off of 463 onto Highway 51. Many commuters already use Highway 51 in the mornings and afternoons to avoid the on-off ramp congestion at Gluckstadt. The traffic on Yandell is already congested in the mornings with commuters coming from the Deerfield area. Most days it is backed up at the Highway 51 light all the way to Yandell and to the school. The other ingress-egress off the proposed development off Clarkdale Road is to Green Oak Lane to the north. Even with a stoplight post-construction at the overpass, the traffic will be 20 to 30 cars deep every morning at a busy hour. There are already significantly number of traffic incidents on Highway 51 between Madison and Gluckstadt, and the additional traffic flow will only compound the rate of the incidents. I respectfully request that the board deny the proposed rezoning request. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and thanks for being here and hearing our concerns about this matter. My name is Jamie Rotman. I'm at 190 Clarkdale Road, so you heard from Ronnie and Robin. I'm right in between both of them on this matter. And I have property that extends out back and actually borders this new zoning request. I want to talk about three things, and I'll be very quick. So number one, my profession is safety. I'm a certified safety professional for an electric power utility in the area, so I'm very aware of safety concerns. The traffic safety issues that we see going by my house every morning, getting in and out, is a very real concern. There's been trucks flipped over because of the way the gutters and the drainages work. It's a 2-3 foot drop down, 2 men in a truck, hit it wrong, flipped over, and blocked the road off at one point in time. There's been cars running into telephone poles already before we add anything else. Forgive me, a little nervous. Two, I want to speak to one of the reasons why this property is being sold off. And this is not a fact of the matter, this is through conversations. The owners that farm that land have realized that it's too cost ineffective to continue to maintain the equipment from vandalism of the current situation going on in that area. So they are deciding to remove their opportunity to farm that land, as that's one of the reasons. I'm sure there's other reasons, maybe money is an issue as well, but the vandalism that's already going on to their equipment has caused them to want to divest or diverge away from farming that land. You put more houses, compact houses like this in that area, that vandalism is only going to increase. And then that's right on my property border, and I have goats and I have farm animals out there that I'm concerned about. what's going to happen to them if we start getting more people out there and the vandalism that could happen to animals. So that's a concern. And then the third thing I want to mention just briefly, you're hearing a lot of facts and opinions from the community here. You're hearing a lot of facts coming from the representation that we have and facts coming from the community as well. And certainties around what this is going to do for our community. I just want to call attention to when the first gentleman spoke, the first lawyer that's proposing this, there was a lot of uncertainty and in the future and down the road and a lot of evidence that was not there to support this as an immediate thing that tells us we're certain everything they're saying is going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen, we don't know how it's going to happen, and they weren't able to articulate that either. So that's what I wanted to say, and again, I thank you for your time and hearing my passion, my plea.
Good morning. My name is Henri Fuselier, and I live at 290 Quail Hollow. It's just on the other side of where this development is coming, buttering up to 51. When we moved out here to this area, and I've lived in Madison County now for almost 40 years, and in Ridgeland, Madison, and now up in what's this area is the county, it was to move from those developments into there. These people do have a right to do what they want with their property, and I appreciate that. However, when I looked into moving where I live now, it was because of the R1 designations in the area. And we ask that you continue to keep those. We've heard some things that have come out here today about the plan changes in the roadways, and y'all have heard a lot of different conversations back and forth on that. The amount of money that's being invested, that is on Yandell. However, there is nothing that addresses what is on Clarkdale. I've taken a few pictures, and I would hope that each and every one of y'all would go down Clarkdale Road and see the ditches that have been mentioned, as we've heard before, and how steep and how inappropriate this roadway is for the amount of traffic that will be generated. The developer stated that it would be a couple of years before you see any real traffic impact. I tend to disagree. Look at the new development that's up there at Deerfield and across the way and how fast that has progressed. They're developing quickly. There's a lot of equipment moving up and down that road. And look at the damage and the impact that it has already done to that road. Clarkdale is in less shape to handle that than Yandell was at that area. So I would ask y'all to look closely at that and drive down that road during the afternoon when there's no traffic, and then go down that road also when there's great traffic in the mornings. That's particularly like today at 8:15, I was still coming out, and it was backed up past the school on Yandell Road. The development and the road plan does not include Clarkdale, nor does it include anything as far as Green Oak other than right there at Highway 51. We also heard about the schools. My granddaughter went to the elementary school right there on Yandell. And 2 years ago, as she was a fifth grader, they said that they were going to be building new sixth grade classrooms to handle the largest fifth grade that the county had seen at that school. 2 years later, we still have not seen the first bit of ground broken there. So for the schools to say that they can support that and manage the growth that is being proposed here is incorrect. So I ask you, please vote no. Keep this as R1 and listen to your constituents out here. Thank you very much for your time and your efforts.
Good morning. My name is Cody Harris. I live off of Country Lane. This development will be at the end of my street. I want to start out with an old Cree proverb. Only when the last tree has died and the last river has been poisoned and the last fish has been caught will we realize we cannot eat money. My home has always been my sanctuary. I grew up out here. I inherited this home from my grandfather. My grandfather poured love into this property. We have 2 acres. My grandfather grew up one child of 14. He lived in a tin shack. He had no running water, no insulation, barely had a meal to eat every day. Forgive me, my grandfather passed 2 years ago. He wanted to create a quiet place to raise his family. He wanted to create a quiet place for his grandchildren to grow up. We have blueberry bushes, we have fig trees, we have apple trees, we have a whole vineyard out on my property where I live. I have 2 children. One is 2, one is 5. My 5-year-old has developmental delay. He's just learned to walk. We can't even walk up and down my street because I'm afraid that he'll run out in front of a car or that our car may speed by and run off the road and hit him. My grandfather taught me how much we all depend on nature in these parts. This is why he moved out here. He was a country boy. He raised me to be country. That's what many people out here came out here for. Another topic I would like to discuss. Mississippi has over 80 endangered species. They depend on these uninterrupted acreage. They depend on that for life. We're destroying that. We have lost what this place is about. I also wanted to discuss character of the area. There are some neighborhoods around our area that are large of size compared to our small, 2-acre lots with homes. However, this will be the largest neighborhood in our area, and that does not fit our character. I would like to urge you to vote against this. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Thank you for your service. My name is David Ross. I live at 154 Sagefield Square. I've been there 20 years. I'm fixing to be 70 years old. I've lived in Madison County 69 years. I lived in Ridgeland. I rode my bicycle up to Green Oak Road and across to Clarkdale Road to go fishing. When I was younger, obviously. You wouldn't do that too much on your bicycle now. At least I wouldn't let my kids do it at their age. But 20 years ago when we moved here, Bear Creek, all of the other subdivisions around were not there, obviously. We would sit on our back porch and watch the birds and hear the hoot owls at night and hear the coyotes run. And that was one of the reasons that we moved there. We knew it was going to change. But at the current time, we take our life in our own hands every morning when we pull out of the subdivision. There was a 3-way stop there a few years ago, but our road department supervisors, whoever they may be, decided that it was a good idea to take that 3-way stop down and let the traffic speed up a little bit, so we would have a little more trouble getting out. People drive 50 and 60 miles an hour down that highway, down that 2-lane road, sometimes more. I got behind a girl one day and followed her back into her subdivision, and I had to get up to 65 to stay with her, and I asked her, didn't she know what the speed limit was? Well, it doesn't matter to me. What it is, I had to get home. So traffic is a big issue. And every one of these people coming out of this new subdivision or coming out onto this little Clarkdale Road, it's ridiculous. How are these people going to get out that road and get on the road, whether they go to Green Oak or whether they go the other way? Traffic is a big issue for me. Not talking about the other things, not talking about the safety issues. We won't even get into that. The things that have happened in the subdivision across the road from us. My son lives over there. He moved in it when it first opened. And he really likes it over there. It's a nice little subdivision. But there's issues over there, but you can't do anything about that. So I'm asking that you vote no on this issue and look at it real close. And I haven't heard, I'm just like the guy said earlier. He heard about it Sunday afternoon, Sunday. I heard about it, I saw it on Facebook Sunday night. And just saw, and I got out in my car and rode down the road to look at the sign. And the sign was over across the ditch, behind the fence, out in the field. that said rezoning, and it was facing the road, and the only way you could see it was if you drove real slow. And now I came by the next day, and somebody had trimmed the bushes on the side of the road and stuck it on this side of the fence. And I don't know who did that, but it wasn't me.
Talking about a community of somewhere around 350 people that are going to be affected by this. Just to let you know, one thing that we've already been affected by is this sports complex that is being built to the west of us on 51 Highway. We only have two ways to come and go to our neighborhood. One's out Clarkdale and one's on 51 Highway. Well, when this sports complex comes in, it is going to force traffic because we won't be able to get on 51 anymore because of all the traffic that's going to be. They're estimating somewhere between 800 and 1,000 extra cars for the sports complex per day. So we've already kind of had a discussion in the neighborhood. Our intention was with the red light going up on Green Oak, we would go out Quail Hollow, come around Clarkdale, back up Green Oak and hit the red light and hopefully could get out onto the 51 Highway. I say that to say that traffic that was normally going to 51 out our front entrance is now going to be diverted to Clarkdale. So not only is this neighborhood going to add more traffic to Clarkdale, but because of another project, that project's going to add more traffic to Clarkdale. So I'm just here to say that we are opposed, myself and the majority of the Twin Cedars neighborhood are opposed to this rezoning of this project. And another thing that hasn't been mentioned yet, because I'm not going to beat up what's already been told, is the voting precincts in the polling areas. Right now, you can't get in them. And the last time I went to the polling precinct to vote, the street down where we vote is on Old Kenton Road, North Old Kenton Road, where we vote. And I was actually struck by a car because we were walking to get to the vote. Well, we were actually leaving. And because of the way people park down each side of the road, it became a one-lane street. And we were as far as we could, and I wasn't hurt. It wasn't that big a deal, but they did strike me in the leg as the car passed by. So it's creating a dangerous situation as far as being able to get to the voting precincts. So we're going to add hundreds of people, possibly thousands of people that are going to be looking for a place to vote. And we already don't have a place to do that now. So anyway, I appreciate y'all listening to me, and thank you.
Morning. Thank you. First of all, thank you for your service, and thank you for giving me some time here to speak. My name is Jeff Zhu. We live at 148 Sagefield Square, which my house is one of the three houses that are closest to the Clarkdale Road. Okay. I'm here just to start with, give you a little background, right? To start with, my wife and kids have been living in Mississippi since 1993, and we moved to Madison County in 1996. Okay, and we moved to Sagefield neighborhood in 2007. Okay, my kids, all my three kids, grew up here, and we love Madison County. We love the character of this community. And just to give you a little bit further background, my daughter was home just yesterday, and she's right now she lives in Connecticut. She's a violinist, graduate from Juilliard. And my son, the other son, is a third year UMC student, and my youngest one is just started his job, right? So we enjoy the community, and we thank you, Madison County and the community, and we're very proud of being a Mississippi resident, especially the Madison County resident, okay? So with that all being said, I'm here this morning to share some of my thoughts and concerns and why I'm in opposition to this development, right? So all my fellow community members, they're all well said. So I'm not going to repeat what they said. I'm just going to give a little story, okay? Going back to my 3 kids, they grew up in that house, okay? They are very active in sports in community, and they're able to, when they grow up, they're able to go on the Clarkdale Road and do the exercise, do the running, cross the field, and do all kinds of foolish activities children do. My daughter was home yesterday, or this week, for 2 days, and she was training for marathon. Now, she left Mississippi about 5 years ago, and she said, Dad, I have a daily routine I need to run, so tomorrow morning I'm going to go on Clarkdale and run, 5 o'clock. And my first reaction is, do you want to be killed? No, that's a no, right? So the point is, and the second little story I want to share is just 2 days ago, I almost got run over by a semi-truck, okay? The truck, we're in opposite direction. The semi-truck, the Clarkdale, there is a curve inside, okay? Section which is kind of curved. And the semi-truck was driving in toward me, and basically because the size of the truck, it's essentially on my lane. So I have to stop. And I literally have to stop, and I see there's no shoulder on the Clarkdale Road on the side. So I almost crashed myself, got killed. So this is a serious, serious matter. The safety of our community, the people living there, including myself, my family. And actually, as a matter of fact, with the plan that this gentleman are building, the residents that are going to be there, it's the same safety concern with the Clarkdale, with the infrastructure, with that road, what it's supposed to be. So I'm going to stop here, and thank you for your service. Thank you for listening to this. And I really, really encourage you to give, I'm sure you will, to give very, very thorough thoughts to this. And please vote no according to the current plan. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for your service. My name is Mike Cox. I live at 224 Quail Hollow, which runs off of Clarkdale. I'm a retired police officer from Jackson, Mississippi, where I grew up on Ellis Avenue. I've been retired 22 years in the police department. I have watched the crime rate go up in Madison County, which is unpleasant because this overflow of the Jackson cancers, I call it. The Madison County Sheriff's Department and the police departments that we have in place are doing an excellent job, but they will have problems on Clarkdale if we build all these other houses. Clarkdale's a little 2-lane road. 2 men in a truck flip the truck and block the road most of the day before they can get it up. We do not need this, so please vote no against it. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Toby Butler. I live at 209 Green Oak Lane. Two points I want to make regarding this without repeating what everyone else has said. 2 reasons that I'm opposed to this and would ask that it be thoroughly considered. One, I just bought recently on 209 Green Oak Lane a house that I'm renovating, investing a significant amount of money in. I chose to live there because of the acreage and the traffic. And honestly, I plan to continue to improve that property and the house. And if this is approved, I probably won't. I'll be quite honest with you, I'll probably look to relocate. I've heard Green Oak Lane mentioned twice, thankfully. I've heard a lot of development plans or improvement plans for the roads around Yandell Road and other roads, which are badly needed, very badly needed, were needed 10, 15, 20 years ago. And there's still development going on in that area, as it's already been mentioned out Yandell Road and other areas. So if you've been out there, someone mentioned in the morning or evening, the traffic is, I already know the right adjective to describe it. It's completely unmanageable. There's certain times of day I just reschedule meetings because I just refuse to get in it. It's that bad. It's a complete quagmire at times. We're continuing to add more growth to that traffic, It's like a dam that's leaking and about to fall apart, but we keep turning on faucets upstream, is an image in my mind about it. And now we're going to turn on a couple of fire hydrants. Now, let's make it worse. So the traffic, and someone mentioned earlier that this development is 1 mile from Yandell. Well, there's going to be improvements on Yandell, which will be too late probably to manage this growth, but it's 6/10 of a mile from Green Oak Lane. So a lot of that traffic is going to come that way. So we're going to turn Green Oak Lane now into what Yandell Road is today, I'm afraid. Besides Clarkdale Road, I've been down it, 'cause everybody's been down it because traffic has been redirected recently, which has been a mess, but is nowhere near adequate for this type of traffic volume. Just like Yandell Road has been woefully inadequate for the traffic volume that has been there for the last 10 years. It gets worse every day. And I'm not opposed to growth. I know growth is inevitable, but it needs to be smart and it needs to be planned, and we need to have the infrastructure to handle that growth. I've lived in 5 states across this country in my military corporate career and had the experience of living in 2, at the time, the fastest growing communities in the United States, Naples, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona. Lots of growth happening all around me everywhere. One thing I did see, though, in retrospect, in hindsight, was there was development preceding the growth, infrastructure development preceding the growth. Not let's have the growth and then let's 5, 10 years later, let's figure out how we can start relieving some of the issues that are caused by that growth. So there needs to be more planning. If these road infrastructure improvements were made, maybe some of that problem would be avoided. But we're going to have the roads improved in 5 to 10 years while we go ahead and move forward with even more development on top of it. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you for hearing us.
Good morning. My name is Norm Chappell. My wife and I live at 112 Sagefield Square. We built our house in '03, so we've lived in that area for over 20 years now. My biggest concern is the impact that this proposed development would have on our property values. You've heard several of the residents talk about maintaining the property values in that area. Again, not opposed to growth and development. We know that that is inevitable, but we'd ask that the request for change from an R1 to an R2 code will be denied simply because of the fact that it will impact negatively those of us that live in that area in the larger lots. The change will diminish the property values that we have, and we are wanting to maintain that for the future with proper planning, development of infrastructure, roads, utilities as well. Thank you.
We'll hear one more, and then we'll hear from the commissioner.
So my name is John Arthur Eves, attorney in Jackson. I'm here as a person who lives at 753 North Old Canton Road with my wife, my daughter Ava, currently my son Sterling, and for the week, my son Brady, my grandson, and Sterling's wife Lizzie. My son John Arthur over here has lived there before. My parents moved there in 2001, built the house. My mother was the contractor that built the house. And yes, it's the house. When you ride down Old Canton Road, it's the big house with the big yard and the lights and the runway driveway. They believed and hoped at that time that this was going to be the house for our forever family house where we could all come and go and have our reunions and always a place to come back to. That was their dream. My wife graciously, after their passing, agreed to move over to that house, help us keep up the gardens and the facilities there. We left our home in Reunion. We became very attached to the nice, comfortable, out of the neighborhood land there. Not that we didn't love our people in Reunion, we just didn't want to live with them in the same house. At least that's the way it felt. So just want to say that I have great respect for you, of course, in this difficult decision-making. I also have great respect for my learned co-counsel, or counsel opposite, and I also have great respect for developers. Me and my son, John Arthur, in the back here, have a development company as well, and so I can appreciate those concerns. And I appreciate the desire of all the growth and to deal with the growth in Madison County. With that being said, I have listened to my neighbors. I won't repeat those same concerns, although I share each and every one of them. I would like to focus on the traffic. There's something that has not been said today that I think needs to be said. And if my son Sterling, who joined the firm this week, he's the chief poster carrier in our office. I'm going to bring you a picture here. Can I switch to this mic here so I can show you something on this map? Yeah. Okay, so let me kind of orient you to this map here. This is a blown up picture. This is North Old Canton Road. Let's see here, right about here. It's kind of blurry with this kind of resolution, but that's the house that I live in. Okay. As you move to the lot line here, then this is where the subdivision will be, is my understanding. You might want to confirm this. And then back here. Now, what are these green lines here? This is the Denbury well here, now owned by Exxon. This Denbury well, as you know, produces CO2 for the southeast. And that CO2, this is the neighborhood here. So that CO2 comes out of this line. It goes from here to Louisiana, goes to Alabama. I think it goes up into Tennessee. So it's an interstate thing. And it's the largest reserve of medical grade CO2 in the country. Now, right here is a station here where they pump that out right here. And under this ground here, I'm not sure if it's under this ground, but I know it's under this house, is this vast reservoir of this CO2 for our soft drinks or for food or for whatever. At night, me and my wife sit on the back patio and you hear this thing boom, 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 like a train sometimes, or a tornado, or whatever you want to think. But it's all the time. So if I'm living in this neighborhood, first of all, I don't think I want to. I don't know how many they're going to sell or keep over here with this, because I can hear it here. We intentionally left these woods between us, so we wouldn't have to hear that so intently. So as a developer, I just think you may need to consider that. The real concern I have, though, is my practice is not property. My practice since 1990 has been, disasters. One of the first cases I worked on was a gas main in Venezuela that was disrupted by AT&T, incinerated a bunch of kids on a school bus down there. And that's not going to happen here, luckily, or I wouldn't be here. Because what we're getting is CO2 coming out of the ground, but we're also getting hydrogen sulfide, which is a danger because you can't get one without the other. The real concern that I have about this pipeline that may last the next 30 years is, how are we going to get out of this neighborhood in the event of a disaster? I know you remember the problem that Denbury had in Sartosia, Mississippi. There's great litigation about that currently. There's also, one of my first cases was in Heidelberg, Mississippi, where a H2S line was breached, and they had to evacuate around 1,100 people. 3 or 4 workers lost their lives on it. But those are the cases that I work for. The boys are tired of hearing about all these things I worry about all the time, but I'll tell you this, that I wouldn't have a problem with the safety if it wasn't for this line is literally surrounding this community. It's not just going to the side once. It's not going around. And you're telling me that we're about to take bulldozers, we're going to take construction workers, we're going to take people, and that's not even regarding, if they make a mistake over here. What is that going to look like if that breach happens? Well, that CO2 is, that's what we breathe out. But enough of it in concentration you can't breathe. You fish out of water. And so I'm very concerned that a plume of this CO2, in the case of a breach, let's pray that never happens. I don't want to be the client, and I sure don't want to be the lawyer either in this case. But if that breach is here, and that cloud of plume, or if H2S is released here, these people here, and me, and everybody in this room, may have trouble exiting and getting out of danger. I think that's a serious concern, and prayerfully, it never happens. Prayerfully, everybody keeps these lines good for another 30 years. But what I haven't heard is a plan to deal with that. I haven't heard, anything. And if I was a realtor, that was selling these lots, I know the realtors have to have a disclosure of dangers that exist, latent defects on the property. So if I'm a realtor, I think everybody in this neighborhood needs to be apprised of this risk, needs to understand this risk. But these people that are here today, they didn't sign up for that risk. And right now, stay inside if that happens, wait, get into a safe room, cut your air conditioner off. It's probably sufficient, or evacuate the area if that happens. So I just think that that's something that's not been discussed. It's a very concern of me, and I echo everything everybody else has said, but I pray that you'll consider that in your decision making. I appreciate your service, and I do appreciate yours as well to the community in Madison. And I appreciate the Yandell family and what they've meant to this county as well. So I don't say that with any disrespect, but appreciation, but I just think it's not been considered yet.
My name is William Fitz. I'm on this big thing right here, proposal, 115 Cherry Rose Trail, Denson Farms. Go by Bill. Thank y'all for your service. I couldn't do what you do. I'd be stressing out right now trying to make this decision, but thank y'all. Great proposal, looks pretty good. As an engineer at Nissan for 15 years, I did a lot of proposals, and not one of them did I throw in all the negative impacts. I mean, it would ruin my proposal. Now, did those negative impacts come out? You bet your tail it did. At the end of the project, and we tried to work on those negative impacts. Hoy Road. I take Hoy Road every day to work. I don't know if anybody in here takes it, but it's awful. Now, it was awful before Green Oak closed, but it's going to be even worse. So this proposal is actually going to affect Madison greatly. Not just, these people aren't just going to Amazon. They're going into Madison, Jackson, other places. Wildlife. I love the wildlife. Last night, I was sitting on my back porch, and I heard the coyotes sing. Eerie, but awesome. I mean, it was beautiful. I hear that quite often. It goes away, all right? I had hen and her babies, turkeys, walking across my yard from that field that I could see. It's beautiful. It's just the nature there. It's peace, it's quiet. That's the reason why I moved there. I knew it would probably get developed. I was hoping it wouldn't be developed with this mass density. I'll have 5 properties on my property line, 5 houses looking into my backyard. And they're below me too. So I'm going to be looking at their back porch. Right now, there's a tree line. I don't even really see the field. I see little pieces here and there. But, it's peaceful. You guys have that opportunity to take that away from me with this proposal. Drainage. I heard drainage. And I know from experience in another subdivision, when a subdivision came behind my property, my yard became a river, became a ditch right through the middle of it. And it wasn't their problem anymore. I had to put money into it to redirect it. All right, so I'm gonna be liable for my property, and there's gonna be a ditch on that line. Yes, there's drainage. There's a slope there going to a ditch at the back of my property, and it's gonna affect me drastically. And then finally, liability. So I've got 5 houses, and I know what people do when they're backed up to some wooded area and stuff. They like to make a fence, a gate, and roam or let their kids roam. Kid gets hurt on my property, I'm gonna have to make sure I got liability insurance to cover that. All right, so those are my concerns. Again, I appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me speak.
Any question from the commissioners?
I have a few. Is there anyone out there that knows of any plans for educational buildings or facilities in your area? No one knows? Do you know, Scott? Yes, yes.
I can speak on behalf of.
Come to the mic, please. We can't hear. Sorry.
Oh, she addressed that earlier. She wasn't here. She addressed that earlier.
Just the rumors that we've always heard is Madison County, I don't think this is going to happen because of the rumor mill, but they were possibly going to have to create another zone to pull from here. I don't see that happening because I had a friend who pulled up maps and didn't see any 16th section land anywhere. I do know, I'm so glad somebody said it, they were going back and forth on how to get Germantown Middle School's numbers down because it is a hot mess at that middle school. Like, we were worked bad, but the middle school, they debated building in addition to Mansdale and Crossing. Funds and the price of everything going up to build has caused them to change their plans every time you turn around. So as of now, from what I've heard, no, we just opened the 24 classrooms. They have thankfully gotten rid of all the trailers, but they're leaving 2 because I think they know that we're about to outgrow the building as is right now. You can only project and build. But there's no discussion because of cost to own a new middle school. I've always been hoping for a new 8th, 9th grade building. There is nothing in the works. That's going to have to be a Mr. Ted Poor decision, and the board, the school board. But, money is always an issue, and the last thing you want to do is raise people's property taxes to have to deal with the problems that's being created by this. And so they're very wise fiscally. And they're going to and that's what I love about Madison County Schools. They think, they plan. I really honestly did not think that we were going to get the 24 new classrooms. We all thought that a new, smaller building was going to be built. But where to build and the money to come up with it has always been an issue, which is why they backed out of the elementary. They backed out of adjusting the middle school to try to pull the numbers out of Germantown High School, because if you go to a football game and you're out of towner and you walk to before that new building, it looked horrible, absolutely horrible. And to teach in a trailer. So there are trailers at Germantown Middle School, and with over 300 per grade in the building, I think it would be very wise to, Mr. Ted Poor is the best person I think I've ever known in my whole life and worked for. He was my first principal at Germantown High. I think he would be more than glad to reach out if you reached out to him and asked him about future growth and how the taxpayers, like how it's going to get paid for. But as of now, there is nothing. It's just accommodate for growth. The class sizes are going to get bigger. It is what it is. That's what we're being told.
Thank you. Has anyone asked the county to do a traffic count on Clarkdale or asked for speed bumps or traffic lights?
There were traffic counts done on Clarkdale for the traffic study at both the north end and south end of Clarkdale Road and Clarkdale Extension.
Currently?
April 4th, 2024.
All right, did that traffic study recommend speed bumps or
No,
traffic lights?
there was a traffic signal that's been recommended at the north end of Clarkdale Extension and Yandale Road, and that is something that the county is pursuing. Tim Bryan, the county engineer, my understanding is that he's working on signal plans for that intersection concurrent with the widening project. So he's trying to accelerate those as fast as he can.
They say when that traffic light would be installed?
You have to speak in the mic if you want to speak.
Well, I'm asking him, he's got the traffic.
Well, you still have to come to the mic, sir.
My question is, and I live at 125 Bear Creek Circle, and if you go out on Clarkdale Road trying to get on Yandale, there's no light there. There's a stop sign, but all the traffic going down Yandale, and you've got a brand-new subdivision that they haven't even begun construction on the homes, and I don't know how many houses are going to be in that subdivision, but folks, how many of you have gone down Yandale Road at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning during school time? Any of you? What is the traffic like? What do you see? It's terrible. And my question to him is, when we moved here, I came from Greenville, Mississippi. In the Delta, we came to Madison for one reason, because of the housing, everything was a safe area. Now all that's changed with the traffic and what's coming in from the Jackson area. My question to him is, when we moved here, we've been here 10 years. And when we moved there, we were told there was going to be a traffic light installed there on Yandale and Clarkdale. It was going to be done within a year or 2 years. That's 10 years ago. Nothing's been done. And my question to him is, you were saying that there was a proposal for a traffic light to be installed, correct?
The county has.
When did they tell you it was going to be done? That's my question. I was told it was going to be done right after we moved here. That was 10 years ago. Nothing's been done. And you're talking about, these gentlemen are talking about putting in another subdivision down that's going to be bringing traffic in? That's ridiculous.
Your name, sir?
Joe Ray.
Thank you.
I'm a retired college administrator. And folks, the only thing I ask you to do, vote no on this. Don't let them put in smaller homes if they can't abide by what was originally supposed to be done. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
The traffic study was done. It was the traffic count was conducted on April 4th of this year. The level of service showed that it's level of service F. It's failing currently, and that's what the capacity improvements and the signal are intended to improve. And it's my understanding the county has appropriated funds moving toward the design and construction, the design of those improvements.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion from the commission.
Wait. Dr. Rouser, proper parlance, I'm sorry. If there's any, you've heard the petitioner, you've heard the opposition. If there's any reply from the petitioner, that's our normal course.
Well, I'll be real brief. On the traffic, I haven't been on the phone, conversations with road department, county engineer, and this may benefit everybody here regardless of the outcome. The 3 lanes on Yandale will be open from 51 to Madison Crossing in 2025. That, I'm giving you what, this came straight from road department, county engineer. 2027, 5 lanes on Yandale. 51 to Parkway East on Green Oak will be open in 6 months, with the overpass to Bozeman completed within 18 to 24 months. Now, Weisenberger Road's expansion is not going to be until 2028. They're waiting on federal funds for that one. That was originally supposed to be 24 months out, but that one is going to be 2028. The traffic light and turn lanes at the intersection of Highway 51 from traffic light and turn lanes at the intersection of North Old Canton and Yandell's 2027. I don't have the traffic light at Clarkdale in this information. It's something I probably can find out from Tim in the road department. And again, I'm in agreement. The conditions of the traffic as they exist today, it doesn't work. But the money that's already been appropriated in the discussions and by the engineer and the county's own leadership has already appropriated the funds for these particular items that I just mentioned, which is what Jonathan was trying to reference in his traffic study that shows that in 24 to 36 months that it meets all the standards and it will improve. I get it. No one out here right now believes any of the traffic's bad. But I did want to address that. There are real dates and timeframes that the county has set up, and it's not make-believe. It's not just we're going to hope we do this. It really is in a scheduled plan that, and matter of fact, Tim's going to be presenting to the Board of Supervisors on the 19th, the engineering for some of these projects. He's going to be requesting that the Board of Supervisors go ahead and hire engineers for, and I don't know which three. There's 3 of these that he's about to get started on. So it is coming, and these are some of the dates. I do want to reiterate that we didn't pull this out of a hat. We didn't just suddenly decide to do this. I've been in the area developing all of my adult life. There is a comprehensive land map for the Madison County. It's clear. You can go online. You can pull it up on every website the county has, and it shows this is a moderately dense area is what the proposal is. I mean, that's what the land use plan shows. And our proposal was just being consistent with what your own land use map shows. And obviously, a lot of concerned citizens. And I want everyone to know we don't throw these things together. This is not something we spend tens of thousands of dollars before we ever get, because we do traffic studies and we do environmental studies, and we spend a lot of time and effort to do these the correct way. The timing here just is maybe the issue, and simply because we can't see the traffic improvements yet, even though we know where they're coming. So I think need obviously is something that I brought up early. We've had another attorney. It argues you don't need it. I guess we can argue back and forth on what we think need is, but I've been in the business. I know we need it. And I know that the area has already changed because I'm out there changing it, and so I've been involved in it. I live in Madison County. I'm in Ridgeland right now.
Are there, folks, this is being live streamed. Let's be respectful of comments. It's difficult for me in particular to get that into the minutes. So let's, I would appreciate.
What I would, look, could I ask the board, and because there are so many people here that are interested in this issue, and obviously we have a vested interest in, trying to make a project work and trying to make it successful, but at the same time, not trying to destroy or diminish anyone else in the area. And that's not the intent, never is with our developments. I mean, we wouldn't be been in the business as long as we are and as successful as we are if we didn't do it the right way. So can I request just a couple of minutes to visit with the actual petitioners, the group of petitioners here, before this board takes a vote, just to see if there's, I would like 2 minutes of a recess. Don't let anybody go, but could I request 2 minutes from this board to step outside to visit with the petitioners before we ask for a vote?
We can table it, and you can meet with them after we table it. And,
Okay, well then just,
meeting, is that right?
Sir,
We could table it, and he can meet with them
What-
and be on the agenda for next.
well,
meeting.
just, no, I don't want to do that. Just 1 second. Let me,
that's up to the commission.
All I need is.
Okay. Okay, that won't be necessary. So, again, I do appreciate everyone that's spoken up today. And I'm glad we were able to address some of the traffic dates. I recommend anybody that's interested in that, you can, like Monday the 19th, there will be some of this will be addressed at the Board of Supervisors meeting on Monday the 19th. So, that being said, thank you for your time. And again, we're just trying to be consistent with what the county has already designated this for. Thank you.
Thank you. I entertain a motion.
I have a motion. Are you good? I want to put forth a motion to deny the rezoning from R1 to R2 because I do not feel it's in the best interest of the community. I think that the current infrastructure cannot currently withstand an increase of up to 60% of traffic, and I think we've all heard that today. I think that the road is already an issue. You'd asked me if I'd been out there. I went out twice so that I could experience what they're experiencing every day. And we can't actually truthfully pinpoint when the county would have all the widening projects complete. And as Ms. Christie stated earlier, that, with Germantown bursting at the seams with students, we're penalizing our students. That's not fair. With the ratio of students to teachers in the classroom, while you were speaking, I went to the Mississippi Board of Education, and I'm reviewing their website. I've been on my phone quite a bit looking over it, and their recommendation is 24 students. Now, that doesn't have a lot to do with planning and zoning, but if we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of situations and be honest, those are things we consider. We're looking at 28 to 30 kids. We need our teachers, right? So as it penalizes the students and it's not an improvement to the community, in my opinion, I move to deny it.
Motion to deny. Can I get a second?
A second.
It's been moved and properly second to deny. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes? Opposed? Ayes have it. It is denied.
Well, wait. Was that 5-0, or how did everybody vote? Reverend Brown, how did you vote?
I didn't vote.
No vote. Dr. Rouser,
I voted with her.
you voted to deny.
Yes.
Amanda, you voted to deny?
I'm staying. I need to study this a little more.
And then Mandy, you were a no.
Yes, I know.
So you got 3 noes and 2 abstentions. Noes carried.
Motion to close public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. Who was the motion and the second?
Motion and
Second.
second.
All right.
Motion to set date for September meeting, the 12th.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have it. Motion to adjourn.
Who was the second on